My cousin destroyed my face at his wedding over an affair that never happened. My family abandoned me without listening. But 5 years later, the truth left them broken, and my revenge was denying them the forgiveness they begged for. I'm 32 years old. I work in software development in Seattle, and I need to tell this story because 5 years ago, my entire life fell apart in the span of about 10 minutes. And the most incredible thing is that I didn't even do anything wrong. Seriously, nothing. But my family didn't believe me. My cousin beat me to the ground at his own wedding, and I basically became the villain of my hometown without having lifted a finger. I guess I should start at the beginning. When I was still just Samuel, the normal guy from a small town outside Portland who went to family weddings without expecting his life to go to hell. I grew up in that town, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone and news travels faster than the internet. My family was big. Typical extended family where cousins were practically siblings and family gatherings were like mandatory events every month. Andrew was my older cousin, like 3 years older than me, and we were always close when we were kids. He was the type of person everyone loved. Captain of the high school football team, popular, charismatic, all that stuff. I was quieter, more of a nerd, I guess, but we got along well. Our families lived literally 10 minutes from each other, so we basically grew up together. Christine came into Andrew's life when he was like 27 years old. I think it was in 2017 or something like that. She was an elementary school teacher, super sweet, the type of person who rescues animals and volunteers on weekends. Honestly, they made a perfect couple, or so it seemed. I met her at one of those endless family dinners and I liked her right away. She was genuine and funny, and you could tell she really loved Andrew. Her family was super religious, like they went to church 3 times a week, and Christine was the perfect daughter who had never caused problems. When Andrew proposed to her in 2018, we were all excited. The wedding was planned for June 2019, and it was this massive event because our families took advantage of any excuse for a big celebration. I was 27 years old at that time, working in it for a medium-sized company in town and living alone in a small apartment. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. I had ended a relationship like 6 months before, but I was fine, focused on work and hanging out with friends. The thing is that I never, and when I say never, I mean never, saw Christine in a romantic way. She was my cousin's fiancée. Period. She was like my cousin-in-law. You know what I mean? The idea didn't even cross my mind because, well, who does that? But apparently someone decided it would be an interesting story to make up. Fast forward to June 15, 2019, the wedding day. It's incredibly hot, like 85 degrees, and the ceremony is outdoors at this beautiful place outside of town. I arrive early because I'm one of the ushers, dressed in my rented suit that fits me. Kind of weird because, honestly, I've never been good at choosing formal clothes. Everything is going perfectly. The flowers are beautiful. The guests are arriving. Christine looks amazing in her dress. Andrew is nervous but happy. I'm helping seat people, joking with my cousins, taking pictures with my sister Caroline, who's 20 at the time, and all excited because she loved weddings. And then, like at 2 inches the afternoon, right before the ceremony starts, I see Andrew walking towards me with a face I'd never seen on him before. He's red, like red, and I can see his hands shaking. I think maybe he's having a pre-wedding panic attack or something, Those things happen. I walk over and ask him, "Hey cousin, are you okay? Do you need water or something?" And without any warning, without saying a single word, he hits me. Just like that, right in the face. I feel the explosion in my nose and fall backwards, and before I can even process what's happening, he's on top of me, hitting me over and over and over again. Screaming things. I can't quite understand completely, because I have blood in my mouth and the world is spinning. People start screaming. Obviously, it's total chaos. Marcus, Andrew's best man and his college roommate, along with my brother Jonathan, who's 30 years old, managed to pull him off me. I'm on the ground, literally spitting blood, with my left eye already swelling, and all I can think is what the hell just happened. My mother runs towards me, but not to help me, but to look at me with this expression of absolute disgust that I'll never forget. My father is standing there with his arms crossed. Caroline looks at me like I'm a stranger. And Andrew is being held back by Marcus, but he keeps shouting, "How could you do this to me? How could you? I trusted you. You're my family. Someone calls the paramedics because my nose is clearly broken, and I have a cut above my eye that won't stop bleeding. While they're treating me, Christine comes running out from where she was getting ready, still in her wedding dress, crying hysterically. Her mother grabs her by the arm and basically drags her back inside. Christine's father, a tall, serious man, who always intimidated me a little, points at me and says out loud for everyone to hear, "Disgrace. You have brought disgrace to this family." And I still don't understand anything about what's happening. The paramedics take me to the hospital. Broken nose, 2 fractured ribs from kicks I don't remember receiving, a cut that requires 6 stitches. I'm there alone because not a single member of my family came with me. Not one. The nurse asks me if I want to press charges, and honestly, I don't know what to answer because it's my cousin, my family, and I don't understand why he attacked me. I say no, that there must be a misunderstanding, that I'm going to resolve it when I can talk to him calmly. How naive I was. Seriously. I leave the hospital like at 8 at night with my face a mess and go straight to my parents' house because I need answers. My mother opens the door and doesn't even let me in. She tells me, with this cold voice I'd never heard from her, that Andrew told them everything about my affair with Christine, that I have 2 days to get my stuff out of the apartment because they stopped paying my rent, and that I'm no longer welcome in their house or in their lives. I try to explain. I try to say that I have no idea what she's talking about, that I never had any affair with anyone and much less with Christine. But she closes the door, in my face. Literally. My own father didn't even come out to see me. The next few days are like a surreal nightmare. I go to my apartment and discover that my parents were the co-signers on the lease, something I had completely forgotten, and they already notified the landlord they wouldn't pay anymore. I start receiving messages from cousins, uncles, family friends, all saying horrible things. That I'm trash. That how could I betray Andrew like that? That they always knew there was something weird about me. My sister, Caroline, sends me a long message about how I disappointed her and that she never wants to see me again. Jonathan, who I played video games with every Friday since we were kids, blocks me on everything without saying a word. I try to contact Andrew to have him tell me what exactly it is he thinks happened, but he also blocked me. I try Marcus, other cousins, anyone who will listen. No one responds. It's like I stopped existing for them, or worse, like I had become this terrible monster that deserves to be erased from family history. And the most frustrating thing, what made me want to scream until I lost my voice, is that I didn't even know what specifically I was being accused of. When was this affair supposed to have taken place? Where? How? No one gave me details, just disgust and rejection. Christine also disappeared. I found out later that her family did basically the same thing mine did, but worse because they were more religious. They excommunicated her from their church. Her parents threw all her stuff on the street, told her she was a disgrace and a sinner. The wedding was obviously canceled. Andrew kept the apartment they shared, and she had to move in with a friend temporarily. I tried to contact her because I thought, well, if they're accusing me, they're also accusing her. At least we can talk and understand what's happening. But her number had been changed. My job also became unbearable. The town is small, remember? News travels fast. In less than a week, everyone at my office knew about the accusations. My boss called me into his office and told me that, although technically I hadn't done anything related to work, my presence was affecting the work environment, and it would be better if I resigned. Translation: I was fired, but in a way that I couldn't sue. I accepted because honestly I didn't have the energy to fight. Every time I went out to buy something, people stared and whispered. Once, an older lady who had known me since I was a kid saw me at the supermarket and literally spat in my direction before leaving. Like 2 months passed in this shitty situation. 2 months living with a college friend who lived in another nearby city because I had nowhere else to go. 2 months without work. 2 months trying to understand how my entire life had been destroyed by something I didn't do. And the worst part is the helplessness, you know? You can't prove you didn't do something. You can't present evidence that an affair didn't exist. What am I supposed to do? Show my location every minute of every day for the last 2 years? It's impossible. I finally decided I needed to get out of there. There was no way to rebuild my life in that place, not with everyone believing this horrible lie about me. I applied to jobs in other cities, any city that was far enough away. I got an offer in Seattle for a software company, a decent job that paid well, and I left without looking back. I packed the little I had, which was basically clothes and my laptop, and drove the almost 3 hours to Seattle in August 2019. Christine, as I learned later, did something similar and moved to Chicago around the same time. Seattle was like starting from scratch, like literally from scratch. I didn't know anyone. I had to rebuild my entire life, create a new social identity. At first, it was lonely, very lonely. I worked, came back to my tiny apartment that smelled weird, but was what I could afford, ate takeout, and repeated the cycle. I didn't tell anyone about my past because, how do you explain that? Hi, I'm Samuel. I moved here because my entire family disowned me for an affair I never had. It sounds ridiculous even to me, but little by little things got better. I made friends at work, people who didn't know anything about my past and treated me like a normal person. I joined a rock climbing club because I needed a hobby that would get me out of my head. I started going to therapy because, honestly, I needed to talk to someone about all this before I went crazy. My therapist helped me process a lot of the trauma, the betrayal, the sense of injustice that was eating me up inside. In the summer of 2021, like 2 years after moving, a coworker had a barbecue, and that's where I met Isabel. She was 28 years old at the time, worked in graphic design for an agency downtown, and was funny and direct in a way I liked immediately. We started talking about horror movies because someone mentioned one, and it turns out we were both fans, and we ended up staying at that barbecue long after everyone else left, just talking. She asked for my number before leaving, and I was like, well, maybe this could work. We started casually dating, coffee dates, going to the movies, that kind of thing. Isabel is incredible. She's protective and loyal in an almost fierce way, and has zero tolerance for lies or injustice. After like 3 months of dating, I knew I had to tell her the truth about my past because I was starting to fall in love with her, and I didn't want there to be secrets between us. One night, at her apartment, I told her the whole story. Everything. The wedding, the attack, the accusation, the family rejection, the move to Seattle. I expected that maybe she'd think it was too much drama or that maybe she'd doubt me, but instead she hugged me and said, "What a shitty family. I'm so sorry." Isabel became my support system, my person. We were living together by 2022, and she helped me keep healing from everything that had happened. She also turned out to be super curious about the story and asked me if I had ever managed to talk to Christine. I told her no, that Christine had basically disappeared, but that I always wanted to at least know how she was doing, because obviously she was also a victim of this horrible situation. Isabel, being Isabel, decided she was going to find Christine. She looked her up on social media, which I had never done because honestly it scared me, or I don't know, gave me anxiety, maybe. Turns out Christine had a semi-public Instagram profile where she posted about her life in Chicago. Isabel sent her a direct message explaining who she was and that she was my girlfriend. And surprisingly, Christine responded. They started talking. First about the situation, then about other things. Turns out they were both fans of true crime podcasts. That random detail connected them, and eventually they became real friends. Sometimes they'd do video calls, and I'd join in to talk for a bit. Christine was doing well, or as well as she could be given the circumstances. She had met a guy named Peter in Chicago, a software developer like me, and they were in a serious relationship. She still worked as a teacher and seemed to have built a happy life away from our hometown. We never talked much about family or about Andrew because it was too painful for both of us. We just existed in this space where we were two people who had been destroyed by the same lie and were now trying to be happy in spite of everything. Life went on. I got a promotion at work. Isabel and I adopted a cat named Pixel because apparently we were that couple now. And honestly, I was happy. Not in the naive way I was happy before, but in a more conscious way, more grateful for the good things I had. I still thought about my family sometimes, about Caroline, and what it would have been like to see her graduate from college, about Jonathan and our video game nights, about my parents and if they ever regretted what they did. But I tried to move forward because what else could I do? And then, in October 2024, like basically a month ago, someone knocks on my door on a Saturday morning. I open it, and it's Andrew, my cousin Andrew, standing in the hallway of my building in Seattle, looking 5 years older and like he hadn't slept in days. I freeze there because I literally haven't seen or spoken to this guy since he beat me at his wedding 5 years ago. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And he speaks first. He says, "Samuel, please, just give me 5 minutes to explain. I need you to know the truth." Isabel comes out of the bedroom in pajamas, sees Andrew, and immediately gets between us. She's like 6 inches shorter than him, but stands there with her arms crossed and tells him, "You have exactly 2 minutes to say what you came to say before I call the police." Andrew looks surprised but starts talking very fast, like he'd rehearsed this. He says that Angela, a woman from his gym who I didn't even know, confessed 2 weeks ago that she made up the entire affair story. That she liked Andrew and was jealous of Christine, and thought that if she destroyed the marriage before it happened, she'd have a chance with him. I sit on the couch because my legs literally won't hold me. Andrew keeps talking, says that Angela told him she had seen Christine and me kissing at a restaurant in Portland, that we had a regular meeting every Tuesday, that Christine had confessed to her that she wanted to cancel the wedding but was scared. All lies, obviously, but specific and detailed lies that sounded believable. Andrew never verified anything, didn't even ask me, just attacked me based on the words of this woman who turned out to be a manipulative liar. I ask him why Angela confessed now, after 5 years, and Andrew says she's in therapy for other issues and her therapist made her work on taking responsibility for her past actions. Sounds convenient, doesn't it? 5 years late. 5 years after my life was shattered. I tell Andrew to leave, that his apology 5 years late means absolutely nothing, and that if he really wants to make peace, he needs to leave me alone forever. Isabel practically pushes him out of the apartment and closes the door. But that wasn't the end. Oh no. Because Andrew apparently told everyone in the family about Angela's confession, and suddenly my phone, which I had changed numbers but kept the old one active, just in case, starts receiving messages. Dozens of messages. My mother saying they made a terrible mistake and please come home. My father with a 3-paragraph text about how he always had doubts but was pressured by others. Caroline crying in a voice message about how much she misses me. Jonathan sending a simple "sorry bro" like that was enough after 5 years. Uncles, cousins, even Christine's father sending me a message about Christian forgiveness and family. I called Christine immediately. She already knew because Andrew's family had also contacted her family, and her parents had tried to call her. She was furious. Like I can hear her screaming through the phone. She says her mother sent her a message saying they wanted to rebuild their relationship, and that now they understood it had been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Like they had confused salt with sugar, not like they had completely destroyed their own daughter's life based on rumors without even asking her version of Isabel. Peter, who we also called. Christine and I had a long video call that night talking about what to do. Christine and I agreed that we didn't want to simply forgive and forget like nothing had happened. Isabel suggested that if we were going to have any kind of closure, it had to be on our terms, with both families present, where Christine and I could say everything we needed to say. Peter agreed and offered to accompany Christine if we decided to do this. After thinking about it a lot, Christine and I decided we were going to have this meeting, but not because we wanted to reconcile, but because we wanted everyone to hear exactly how their lack of trust and their willingness to believe lies had affected us. I told my mother we would be willing to meet in a neutral place, a private restaurant in Portland that she could reserve, with both families present. We also insisted that Angela had to be there to give her confession in person, in front of everyone. The meeting was 2 weeks ago. Isabel, Peter, Christine, and I arrived together in my car. The restaurant had a private room, and when we entered, it was like a complete family reunion. My parents, Jonathan, Caroline, uncles, cousins, Christine's family, Andrew, and Marcus, and Angela, a blonde woman around 35 years old who didn't ring a bell at all because I'd never seen her in my life. We sat down, Christine and I side by side with our partners next to us. My mother tried to get up to hug me, and Isabel literally put her hand up in a stop signal. I said, "Everyone is going to listen to what we came to say before anyone tries to apologize or explain themselves." Angela went first, told the whole story from the beginning. How she had been in love with Andrew since she met him at the gym in 2018. How she invented the affair story because she thought if Andrew broke up with Christine, she'd have a chance. How she gave him specific details she knew would sound believable because she had been stalking Christine's social media and knew her routines. Seeing my family's faces while Angela confessed was surreal. Some looked horrified, others embarrassed, some still seemed to be processing the information. Andrew was crying silently in his chair. Christine's father looked gray, like he had aged 10 years in that moment. When Angela finished, Christine spoke. She told her parents exactly what she thought of them, how their supposedly strong religious beliefs about love and forgiveness didn't apply to their own daughter, how they threw her on the street without even listening to her, how she lost 5 years of a relationship with them because of their hypocrisy. Then it was my turn. I told my parents, my siblings, everyone, that what hurt me most wasn't the accusation itself, but that they didn't even ask for my version. That their love was apparently so conditional that the word of a stranger was enough for them to erase me from their lives. That Jonathan had known me for 30 years, but I didn't know me well enough to know I would never do something like that. That Caroline admired me as an older brother, but abandoned me without hesitation. That my parents, who are supposed to be the people who love you unconditionally, chose gossip over their own son. My mother tried to interrupt several times with apologies and tears, but I didn't let her. I told them that Christine and I had built complete lives without them, that we were happy, that we had partners who loved and supported us in ways they never did, that we didn't need their forgiveness or their reconciliation because they were no longer part of our lives in any meaningful way, that we came only to give them the closure they might need, but not to expect us to come back. Caroline was crying. Jonathan had his head in his hands. My parents looked destroyed. Part of me felt satisfaction seeing them like that. I'm not going to lie. Another part of me just felt sadness for all the lost time, for the relationships that could have been but that they destroyed. Andrew tried to apologize directly to me, saying he acted without thinking, that he was blinded by rage, that he's lived with the guilt all these years. I told him his guilt was his problem, not mine, and that I'd prefer never to see him again. We left after like an hour. There were no hugs, no promises to stay in touch, no perfect reconciliation that maybe some expected. Christine and I said what we needed to say. Our partners completely supported us, and we left there feeling lighter somehow. In the car back to Seattle, Isabel took my hand and asked me how I felt. I told her I felt good, surprisingly good, like I had finally closed that chapter of my life for real. Christine called me yesterday. She says her parents have kept trying to contact her, but she's not responding. That Peter proposed to her and she said yes, and they're getting married in a small ceremony with just close friends. She invited me, and of course I'm going. With Isabel, obviously. She also told me she's pregnant, like 2 months along, and that she's excited and terrified at the same time, but Peter is being incredible about everything. I, for my part, am planning to propose to Isabel in December. I already bought the ring, a simple but perfect one that I know she'll love. We're thinking about adopting a dog in addition to the cat, because apparently we're those people now. My job is going excellently, and they offered me to lead a big new project. Life is good, genuinely good, in ways it wasn't before all this shit happened. I guess what I learned from all this is that the family you choose is sometimes more important than blood family. That the people who truly love you are going to believe and support you even when things look bad. That you can rebuild your life from scratch after everything falls apart. And that you have no obligation to forgive people who hurt you just because they're family or because they finally realized they were wrong. My mother still sends me messages occasionally. Nothing invasive, just small things like, "I hope you're well," or "I saw something that made me think of you." I don't respond. Maybe someday I will. I don't know. But for now, I'm focused on the life I built here. With Isabel, with the friends I made in Seattle, with Christine and Peter, who understand what we went through in a way no one else can. Andrew stopped trying to contact me after the meeting, which I appreciate. Caroline sent me a long email a week ago about how she's going to therapy and working on understanding why she reacted the way she did, and I responded with a simple, "I'm glad you're seeking help. Take care." Last week, Isabel and I went for a walk through Pike Place Market and saw a family, parents with 3 kids, all laughing and taking pictures. Isabel squeezed my hand and asked me if it made me sad to see families like that. I told her no, that it used to make me sad, but not anymore, because now I have my own family, the one I chose, the one that chose me. And that's enough for now, more than enough.